Hey guys, my name is Kumar Ramakrishnan, but as you know me, I'm the game guru, and this is
Brent Gerard, resident Towson gamer, game sage,
and guest columnist, of course. Yeah. And today we're going to talk about how used games and digital game purchases affect the game industry in general. We don't think it's being talked about enough, and it's new and it's completely changing the industry, but it's not being talked about
forever.
enough. Yeah, so what do you think about digital games? Just digital games. Forget about used ones for a second.
Well, I'm not one of those people who needs that new game smell. I think it's great. Not having to go through the retailers, not having to deal with crappy cashiers, not having to wait until they're open. I can just get it whenever I want.
And the cool thing is, there's a lot of online retailers popping up right now. For example, GameStop actually started selling downloadable games recently when they saw competitors like Steam and EA Origin making money with GameStop's, making money out of GameStop not giving online purchases, basically. And digital games, what they also do is that they follow you around. It doesn't matter. You don't need to have a physical disc every single time you play the game. You can be on any computer and still play the game. You just need to download it. And do you think this helps the developers or hurts them, like the ones who actually make the game?
Oh, well, it helps them. Absolutely, yeah. Mainly because there's no used game after everything goes digital. There will be no GameStop. There will be no GameFly. They'll all basically go out of business, which is bad for American jobs, I guess, but great for the consumer because it'll drive prices way down, at least $10 or $20, because there's not that middleman. There's not Best Buy. There's not those people that you have to go through.
You see, I think the industry is going towards a digital. It's going slowly / rapidly in a moderate pace, but it's hard for me to see, at least in the next 5 to 6, at least 3 to 5 years, that it'll completely change digital. Mainly because I see past strides and going, like for example, the Phantom. That's a great example of one of the cons against digital, because it came up, and the Phantom is basically a console. If you guys don't know, is where there is no disc, there's no CD drive. You buy all your games through the internet, and it's all saved into this basic box. But it never came out. And the reason why they said it never came out, because the American consumers, compared to other developed countries, like let's say South Korea, we do not have that internet capability where every single person, where a vast majority of our population still has connection to the internet, but don't have that powerful connection where we can play games. See, that's the kind of where I see the roadblock against digital.
Well, there is right now Onlive. Have you heard? Yeah,
yes.
Onlive, where you need what I think they said the minimum requirement is 2 megabits per second to play. What Onlive is they host the games on remote servers. And you basically stream it in through. You don't need a console at all. All you need is like a box and a controller, and you don't need like a huge NVIDIA graphics card or a triple processor or anything like that.
The problem with OnLive, as soon as I saw it, is it's a subscription based system.
Like Netflix,
It's not like Steam or Origin where you buy the game and you have the code and you go in. But I don't think the industry is going to go into that subscription-based system.
I don't think either, but yeah.
Because the consumers are hurt by a subscription-based system, because all of their games are basically deleted if they decide to go off the system.
Yeah, and plus, their selection is a lot like Netflix too.
Yeah. Oh, well,
sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of suck because they're very limited. They have to actually deal with the mega publishers like EA and Activision. They have to deal with the developers. They have to deal also with the indie games. But the one thing that recently that came up, which is very important, is there was a rumor floating around, let's say this is actually a rumor, where the Microsoft Xbox 720 is going to be diskless. Do you think that's plausible? Well, since if Microsoft goes diskless, like other companies will follow the trend?
I think that they were, floating that just to see what people would say. But I think that you'd have to have the entire gaming industry do it, because if Xbox comes out with their new console and it's diskless, and you can't buy a used game anymore or whatever, then and then Sony comes out and they're still doing discs, and you can still sell your games and buy games cheaper, then everyone's going to buy Sony stuff.
And I think also the reason I understand, because when was the last time you bought a used game?
I don't really buy them.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you get what, $10 off, so I mean,
yeah,
it's not even worth it.
The more I talk to the people in the forums, with to my friends in general, all of the old games, the really old games like Sonic and Mario, are coming out in WiiWare and Xbox Live Arcade,
yeah.
And all the recent games. Well, like I just bought Mass Effect 1 and for my Xbox 360, and that is on Xbox Live Arcade. I don't even need to step into GameStop.
Yeah.
I don't see people buying used games anymore. And when people go and to sell used games, they feel so ripped off. Basically, you bought a game for $50, $60, and you're going and you only get $5 or $6.
So, do you think the next Xbox will be diskless? Like, will it come with a terabyte? Or
the only thing that I can see that will stop it is that we consider our Microsoft and PS3 not only to be gaming consoles, but entertainment systems, where we want to play DVD, Blu-ray, and unless the entire entertainment industry goes digital,
has to go together.
Entire entertainment industry goes, I don't see Microsoft going zigging where it zags.
Yeah.
The thing also, what do you think about what will happen to GameStop? Which that's the biggest used game retailer right now.
They don't have any products. I mean, they're just
stop.
A vendor. I mean, all they do is buy games and sell them. I mean, they sell new games, right?
They do sell new games. Yeah, they do sell pre-orders.
Okay, but yeah, I think they'll just go out a bit. Will they have like? Will there be kiosks or something? If everything was digital, like what would it look like? Do
you think they can compete with Steam and Origin and other digital markets? Because that's GameStop has been such a huge player in the industry until very recently, where digital games came to play. Do you think that they'll actually be able to compete in a digital industry? Do you think they can make the transition, basically? I
mean, they'll have to. They're a Fortune 500. I mean, I'm sure they're thinking about it, and they're already selling, like you said, the DLC. So I think they're looking. I think they'll do something. They'll be fine.
But their profit margins are definitely going to go down.
They hate it. I'm sure they're lobbying against it.
Now we have been talking about basically major big name companies, games, and industry. What about the indie developers? What has happened to them in the last 3 years?
Well, I mean, Angry Birds is like
I'm
$1 trillion.
I'm not talking about the iPhone app where it's like $2 or $3. I'm not talking about like the $10. I will play Magica by Pandora or
like Trine
Trine and Braid and stuff where these are serious game developers. Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that Angry Birds is not serious, but at the same time, these are who are targeting gamers.
Yeah, well, it's great for them. Yeah, because they don't have to go through a manufacturer anymore, because their games are small enough where they can download it.
And they're not looking for that big revenue stream that these big name games needed. They can actually enter the market pretty easily.
Yeah, you could make an entire game by yourself and put it on the market if you had that sort of skill. Yeah.
Now,
you don't need all those people.
Also talking about digital games, you can definitely see that the consoles have a monopoly on, like, for example, Xbox 360 has Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 has PSN, Nintendo has WiiWare. The thing about digital games that also gives me not in a fast pace but a moderate space is that they will not. How are they going to let competitors in to basically foster this digital revolution?
Competitors with Microsoft?
Competitors, into the console into a digital console market.
Well, I mean, if everything that's on Xbox will be through Xbox Live.
Through Xbox, you don't see that changing.
I mean, how would they?
You see, but the thing that's for a good revolution to take place, you need competition between, like Steam has a monopoly on PC. Even the Origin's coming in, they're nowhere close to Steam.
Yeah.
Because they don't let indie developers take place. I think that's what, to get a fast pace, you need to have a lot of people coming in and taking part in the digital market, and that's why I'm saying, okay, it's.
Is that bad though? Is Steam bad?
I'm not saying that Steam is bad.
Right.
I'm saying that anyone can come into the PC digital market, and that's why the PC digital market is going exceptionally great. Because if you compare indie games in the Xbox Live Arcade to indie games in the PC, you're definitely going to see a lot more top-rated. You're going to see a lot more selection in the PC than in the next. I'm saying that for the digital revolution to take place, you need to, Microsoft, Nintendo, and PS and Sony need to let third party into their systems instead of just rehashing their old games. Let indie developers into their Xbox Live Arcade more than they're bringing in right now. Yeah. So final thoughts. Used games going away, good or bad?
Great.
Yeah. Even
yeah. I'm all about the revolution. Yeah, I think it should happen. I think just consumers, developers all win. GameStop loses, which I mean is bad, but I'm okay with it.
The thing is, I truly do believe that GameStop had this coming along.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, because GameStop, every single time I went in there, I felt like I was getting ripped off when I bought a used game. When I sold a used game, I was getting ripped off. So used games are going to be good, especially for the cash-starved developers that are coming in right now. That this will allow more gaming developers to come into the market, and because they're going to see that, okay, once that initial push is done, once that initial launch is done, they actually do have some kind of revenue stream. After the initial push, not everything is not going to be used, and they're actually going to get some money in the future. Now, digital games. Final thoughts: is it good or bad? Is it good or bad? And how long do you think it'll take for us to go digital? Time period.
Oh, it's all up to them. I mean, it could be maybe the next cycle, maybe not this one, but it's definitely going to be the next second console or third console that comes out is all going to be digital. And of course, maybe where the disc slot is, it'll be, I don't know, some storage, like a terabyte. Terabytes are not really that much anymore. And like a Black Ops, if you download it, it's like 10 gigabytes, So you could still have 100 games. How many people have more than that?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And the thing about the digital revolution, there's a lot going for it, but at the same time, there's a lot blocking it. The one thing that's going for it, definitely, you can play it from any console as long as you sign in, as long as you have some kind of access of. Some kind of way to keep out access of people who didn't buy the games. And there's one thing that's keeping it major away is that the entertainment industry has to also go all digital.
Yeah.
And even though music is doing that, and TV shows are kind of doing that, movies are resisting any kind of change. And you might think that these industries are very isolated, but the entertainment industry is very interconnected, especially in the console market, where you see the consoles as an entertainment system. You don't see it as a gaming system. And I think that's what is going to slow down the digital revolution. So I'm hoping it'll come in the next 3 to 5 years, but I won't be surprised if it isn't. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and I actually had a great comment. I learned a lot from you we actually have very different. We have similar views, but very different specifics.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, and thanks for watching the Tower Light.